Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm going to go through 10 knives that have been in my pocket this year. We'll just say 2025. The ones I've been carrying, why I've been carrying, what I think about them. And I can tell you that whether they're still available or whether they're older knives, I really do appreciate all these knives and could recommend any of them based on what they are, because they're going to be different price points. They're all folders and they're all out of my collection. So before I get started, I want to do a special shout out and thank you to all the channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all more than you know. I want to say thank you to anyone who subscribes to the channel, who comes in and checks out my knife, my EDC content, comes by live streams. I really appreciate you. And for anyone who just comes in and checks out the knife and EDC content, thank you. So the first knife that I want to talk about, and the 10 that I've been carrying the most this year, is a knife that was sent to me from Kaiser to do a review on, and I've really enjoyed it. It's stuck with me. It's a knife that I didn't just pass along. I've actually been carrying it. I've been using it. I've been really enjoying it. It is the Kizer Mini Mystic. This comes in a lot of different colorways. This particular one happens to be the frosted aluminum with the PEI clear bolster here, where you can see your internal stop pin, you can see your axis spring, you can see your adjustment points. It is a Munko design. Munko designs this knife with Kaiser. It's a nice harpoon shaped knife, harpoon blade, nice drop point with the poon. You've got very good detent on this knife for axis lock or a bar lock. This is the clutch lock for Kaiser. I don't know if you can tell here, but Kaiser's clutch locks are adjustable. So you can take that axis spring and you can put it in one of 5 different holes. This one came from the factory on the second to the tightest hole, which is different than the drop bear that I received, where I went in and adjusted it myself. But it really makes a difference, and it makes for a snappy deployable knife that snaps shut. Now, will that spring be under more stress? Will it snap earlier? I've never had a bar lock style spring break, but I'll let you know if it does. Very, very slicey. Great cutting geometry on this knife, the Mini Mystic. Super, super sharp. Great sharpening choil. Very light. I'm going to say it's very close to bug out size. And if we break out our tape measure, because since it's a kind of a top 10, we'll do this kind of quick. But this little guy is going to come in right at 7.5 inches with the roughly 3¼ inch blade, roughly, almost 4.5 inch handle. But number 10, and this is not in any particular order, the Kizer Mini Mystic. So moving on, we come to a knife that unfortunately is not available anymore. This was sent to me by a channel member, a good buddy of mine. He will remain anonymous. It's a knife I'd never experienced, as you guys may or may not know. I'm a pretty big fan of Vosteed knives. This was one of the first Vosteed knives, to my knowledge, that was in production, and it's this wicked C-axe, they call it, the blade style. It's a Wharncliffe. This knife came out in 2 different blade styles. It came out in a sheep's foot, and it came out in what they call the C-axe, if I'm pronouncing that right. But it's the Vosteed Valkyrie. It's in 154 cm, G10 handles. This was about a $70 knife. It uses their, it's not a button lock. They call it, I'll think of it here in just a second. But what's cool about this knife, besides the fact that it's a full-size knife, you can either get on top of that trigger or you can get back behind that trigger. It is an absolute thinly ground laser beam that is so pokey stabby with this blade configuration. It's just delightful to use. He sent it to me to check out, to do with it what I will. And like I say, I've been carrying it because I'm doing a review on it that actually will come out before this one does. But it's a multi-deployment. What do they call this lock? Trex lock? I think it might be the Trex lock. The Vosteed Trex lock, which is like a button lock, but it works on an internal inside that blade. So it's a little different than your traditional plunge lock. Very sturdy lockup. This is a multiple deployment knife. So you've got thumb studs. Whoops. I can reverse finger flick it. I can use the thumb studs to flick it. I can front flip it. And it's got a low profile flipper on the back where I can flip it. So multiple deployment, fantastic action, a really nice sound when it opens, and again, a full-size knife that comes in well under $100. Granted, I have not been able to find these in stock anywhere. Do not know if they will be back in stock. It looks like they're kind of discontinued, but you can find them on Blade Bench from time to time. Right over 7.5 inches with about a 3 1/4 inch blade and about a 4 1/4 inch handle. The Vosteed Valkyrie is one I wish I'd known about sooner. I'd love to see Vosteed come out with this knife kind of updated with maybe titanium handles, better blade steel. I think it's just a great design. I can't believe I never had experienced it. So moving on from the Valkyrie, we come to another knife that was sent to me by a channel member, a brother from another mother, to check out. And this is one of the newer S30V Benchmade Bugouts. And the first thing I did, I think it had the powder blue or gray scales. It's S30V coated. I had some scales left over from another bug out build I did, these Flytanium carbon fiber scales and this backspacer, because the bug out that I have built out that I use, I've had for a while, is my 20CV Blade HQ exclusive that has the Met embossed scales. I've really enjoyed carrying this knife, and I've carried it a bunch because it's so light. It's worked very, very well. It's been a very effective knife. It's a great cutter. This one came with a very good factory edge. I have not gone in and redone the edge on this one yet. I have not needed to. Cuts very, very well. The bug out is a very popular knife. It gets a lot of grief, and I understand. It's a little bit more expensive knife, but this is a fantastic little EDC knife, especially for urban EDC, my city carry. 7.5 inches. With a 3 1/4 inch blade. We're getting a common theme here. 4 1/4 inch handle. So Benchmade Bugout came standard with the FRN scales. I carried it a couple of days like that. Then I remembered I had these scales and did a video using my pivot tool to put those scales on. I hadn't used it in a long time. Worked out really well. And I'm really digging the look of this knife. I really like it. I'm a huge fan of it. And I want to thank my anonymous brother who sent this to me. Moving on, a knife that I am absolutely smitten with. This is a knife that TRM was nice enough to send me. But guys, these are under 300 bucks. I want to say about $230, $240. It is the TRM Bulldog, USA made, G10. They're now making them with contoured handles. This is a flat handle. It utilizes their river lock, which is their version of a bar lock, which works very, very well. This is the thickest blade stock that TRM's used on a folder, just for some random information there, but it is MagnaCut. It is, like all TRMs, extremely slicey, surgically so, extremely pokey. It's about the same size as the TRM Neutron. That's the mid-sized liner lock between the Atom and the Nerd. So I love the choil. The reason I think this knife has grown on me and stays in my pocket so much is because of the size and because of the action. I love the deployment hole. I love the way that you just hit the river lock, the blade sucks back in, doesn't bounce. You got a deep carry clip, really well done, textured. Again, this is the flat G10, one of the first models that came out, but just an absolute beautiful little knife. Absolutely one of my favorites. MagnaCut blade, still rocking the factory edge. I love it. carry it all the time, and it is the TRM Bulldog. Moving on, we got a knife that I started carrying again. This is not a new knife by any stretch, but it's a knife I bought probably 6-8 months ago. This is the Wehr, W-E-H-R, Wehr Knives Allie-P. So Wehr is a custom maker. The Allie is one of his more popular custom designs. So he did a small batch run with Riot to do a production version of that Allie, which is this knife here. Came out in a couple of different configurations. I wanted the kind of understated elegant with the stonewashed tie, the black pivot collars, and black studs. You've got this M390 blade, really nice hollow ground, slicey blade. A smaller knife, which I can get all kinds of behind, frame lock. I just hit my finger while I was trying to pick up paper. Easy to reverse flick, easy to thumb flick. Very small, carries in the pocket very well with that deep carry clip. I'd say deep carry. It deep carries to about right there, titanium clip. But this guy is going to be a little bit smaller than our Bugout, than our, be about the same size as our Bulldog, which we didn't measure. So let's measure both of these real quick. So the Bulldog that I skipped out on for you, I didn't mean to, is roughly 7 inches. The Alip PE is 7 1/8. The Bulldog's blade's 3 inches. Alip PE's blade's 3 inches. Handle on the Alip PE's right about 4 1/8. Handle on the Bulldogs right around 4. You've got an inside grip here of 3 1/2. Outside grip of 4. With the Bulldog to the choil, you've got 4. To the back grip, which I'd never use, you've got 3 1/4. So both of these knives are similarly sized, but this is a fantastic little elegant folder. Doesn't look like everybody else's knife. It's kind of one that was in a small batch. That's what attracted me to it. Plus, I've been following Wehr Knives on Instagram. Just can't afford one of the customs. Great little knife. Stoked to have it. That's the Wehr Allie-P. Now this next one is a knife that's been around for a while, but this is a newer release of it that I've loved carrying. This was sent to me by Kansept to check out, and it is their Cryo, C-Y-R-O I think it is. And it is a model that is in titanium with an orange peel finish that's really nice, gives a little texture. Excellent access to the lock bar. You've got a titanium or S35 VN blade in a stonewash tumbled finish. You've got a flipper tab that works exceptionally well. If you never want to use that blade hole, you can push button, you can light switch. The flipper tab is mounted perfectly over the pivot, and it gives you enough to get so much gas. But to me, the star of the show is the deployment hole. I can flick it from anywhere I put my finger. It is a frame lock. It is a larger knife, drop point. And what's amazing about this knife is on Kansept's website, 8 inches long, 3 1/2 inch blade, roughly right under 4 1/2 inch handle with an inside grip of right at 4 inches. So you're looking at 4 inches from right here. You do have a reversible clip. Titanium clip. Guys, this knife sells for $121 on Kansept site. Fantastic deal, I think, for a really good knife. I've enjoyed carrying it. I enjoy the operation. I can't believe it's an older model that I never experienced, because I have experienced a lot of Kansept knives in my collecting, but this one is just a very well done orange peeled finish, raw titanium with some gold accents on the hardware, Kansept Kryo. So moving on, we come to my only integral. This is a knife that was sent out by Tuya Knives for me to check out, and this is the Tuya Strength. This is one of the most unique knives that's come across my table in a really, really long time. Not only is it an integral design, but you've got this kind of diamond flared. I don't know if you can see that line, but you've got this little ridge that runs on the front and the back to give it a little bit of extra depth there. This is not Damascus, it's an anodized clip, but what you'll notice about this knife is it's DLC. It is Tuya knives, Dave Warren. It's got multiple deployments. So you got this really low profile flipper tab. You got this spear point blade that is just banging, I think. Looks great. Super effective as a cutter, even though it's got thicker blade geometry. I sharpened this up, kept it at the factory angle, and it's just a great cutter. Has wonderful action. This is all stock. I've done no bearing upgrade, not taking it apart. You've got a front flipper, traditional flipper, thumb studs for either your reverse flick or for your thumb flick. I think it's probably one of the sexiest knives. I love the black DLC. You can get this in crystallized titanium and other finishes as well. This is just the one I really liked. It's a smaller knife, but it's a robust knife because it is a full integral. 7 1/4 inches long. Right under 3 1/4 inch blade with a right under 4 1/4 inch handle. Your inside grip there is 3 1/2. Where I hold it is 4 1/8. I like to hold the knife right here. Super, super solid build. Very good action on all the different deployment methods, depending on where you choose to deploy it. Fantastic knife, and that's the Tuya Strength. Spent a lot of time in my pocket. Probably the heaviest knife that has been in my pocket. You don't have any weight relief inside this integral because it is an integral. So you've got a solid piece of titanium, a nice piece of DLC coated M390 blade steel, and very low profile there in the handle. I just think it's awesome. Moving on, we come to a knife I picked up at Blade Binge, and it turned out to be much smaller than I thought it was going to be. However, that is not at all a bad thing. This knife stays in my pocket as my primary carry quite a bit. This is the Tonic 1. I think that's all it's called. The company is Tonic, or Tyconic. It's Tyconic, and this is the Tyconic #1 is the way it's on their website. Tough Knives is the collaborator who started this company. They're the company, the designer that collaborated with Vosteed to do the PSYOP. So when I saw this knife, I knew it was a top liner lock that I'd not really had in one of the newer variations. Had the flipper hole and this nice compound ground drop point. I like the 2 finger holes. This knife, again, it's a fluke because it fits me perfectly. I love carrying it. You've got a deep carry clip to about right there, but it is going to be on the smaller side of the knives I've been carrying. M390, plenty thick blade stock, 6 3/4 overall, 3-inch blade, 3 3/4 inch handle, and your cutting edge is going to come in right over 2.5 inches. Sexy little knife, fantastically engineered, refined very well, fits my hand great, does have weight relief, does have a titanium backspacer and a lanyard hole. But this is the Tyconic, picked up at Blade Binge. I really like it. It's been in my pocket a bunch this year. Moving on, we come to a knife that I got last year that Tactile sent me to check out, and it's probably one of my favorite Tactile knives that I've experienced. I've done a review on the Archer, which is a much more expensive knife. Nice knife. Didn't impress me as much as this when I'm looking at value per dollar for what you get. This is a USA made knife in Magna Cut, stonewashed Magna Cut, aluminum handles, and they've employed the Snex lock. The Snex lock is also in the Wehr Vision R. It's in a couple of other knives. It looks like a shark lock up here, but your spring mechanism is back here. And so what happens is you've got this little tang here that slips right in, or this little switch on your lock that slides in and actually locks this blade up like a champ. You've got some weight relief cut out on those steel liners. It is an aluminum knife with a MagnaCut handle. I love the blade style of this knife. Operates on thumb studs, kind of a nice lazy sheep's foot. This is just a laser beam. Fantastic EDC knife. A little on the heavier side when we look at the knives that we have here, just because it's aluminum, MagnaCut, thick blade stock. You've got that Snex lock and that mechanism. I wouldn't trade anything about it because I love the Snex lock. It's one of my favorites. This guy comes in right at 7 3/4 inches overall. It has got a 3 1/8 inch blade. It has got a almost 4.5 inch handle. Your inside grip is 3.5, right? If you want to take it from the back, you're at 4 inches. So 3.5 inside, 4 from the back to here. Great action. Works great with thumb deployment. Works great as a middle finger flipper. And it does have good detent for what it is. So this is number 9 or number 2, however you want to look at it. It's the Tactile Cuphacabra. And it is $249. Made in America. Fantastic deal. I think it's $269 if you find one with the Lynch clip, because they did a collaboration. Finally, we come to a knife that I have only been carrying because it just came in for a few days, but I will be carrying this knife for quite a while. This month, I know I will, so this is kind of preemptive. This is a knife I traded with a brother in the community, traded him a knife I had that he liked for a knife that I'd never tried out. I've had a Brian Brown or a Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. This is a Sharp by Design Brian Nadeau Evo Typhoon, this is the full size. It's a flipper tab only, even though it's got that blade hole. I can't get my finger in here to get the blade, but this flipper tab is next level. This is the nicest, smoothest flipper tab I think I've ever experienced on a knife. And it really gives you a fantastic, really refined finger guard, the way he's designed this. So just Bundabar all the way around. Full-size knife. I can get behind it. They make this in a harpoon blade, some other blades. This is the drop point. You've got a nice titanium clip, some carbon fiber there. You've got Brian Brown's Maker's Mark, M390 blade. And surprisingly and pleasantly so, you've got a full-size knife. Comes in right about 8.5 inches with roughly a 3 3/4 inch blade, a 4.5 inch body. That's just a little banger. I'm a huge fan. The action on it is delicious. I do have some skiffs coming from it because the bearings were sized kind of weird in it. So when the bearings come in, we'll do a skiffs upgrade in this, take it apart again. And then I've got a review coming on this knife as well. I just wanted to include it in these 10 because it has been in my pocket non-stop. And I know it will stay that way because it cuts great. It carries great. I love the action. I loved my Mini Tempest. I traded it for a knife that I wanted. It was a top flipper only, and I just did not carry it that much. This one I have been carrying pretty much non-stop since it came in, and that's rare for me because usually I'll carry a knife a little bit, I'll put it in my case, and I'll carry something different, but this has been a banger. So when you look at the 10 knives that have been in my pocket the most, 2025, we'll call it this year, even though we're early in the year, are the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon, the Tactile Knife Company Cuphacabra, the Tyconic one by Tyconic, the Tuya Strength Integral, the Kansept Kryo, the Wehr Allie-P, the TRM Bulldog, USA made, Benchmade Bugout, USA made, with some titanium scales, the Vosteed Valkyrie, no longer in stock. Maybe they'll bring it back, but a great knife. And then the Kaiser Mini Mystic. Fantastic knife. Great blade geometry. All these knives have been great. I enjoy them. They're probably keepers. I'll probably pass on maybe a couple of these, but most of them are going to be keepers in the collection. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch my Knife My EDC content. If you're so inclined and you hadn't had a chance yet, hit that subscribe button, that bell notification icon. If you like, give me a thumbs up. Most importantly, please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for each other. Go forward with love in your hearts and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.